After realizing his dream of being recruited into a league of superheroes, an alien and his robot friend must defeat a villain who wants to destroy the galaxy to create his own planet. Today we're going to recap the movie, Ratchet & Clank, from 2016. A large spaceship hovers over the planet Tnemule. Inside is a powerful tycoon, owner of Drek Industries, who is giving a speech to his henchmen when he is interrupted by one of them fiddling with his cell phone. Immediately, Drek sends his right-hand man, Victor, a big red robot, to punish the alien, who is calling to his mother. With the problem solved, the villain orders the activation of his secret weapon, the deplanetizer. The entire structure energizes and shoots a huge bolt of lightning towards the planet, which is completely destroyed in seconds. On the planet Veldin, Ratchet, a young alien mechanic, is working out with a TV program in the workshop where he works, when the broadcast is cut to the urgent news of the destruction of Tnemule. Because of the tragedy, the president has asked the Galactic Rangers, which are made up of 4 heroes, to recruit another member. They are a kind of guardians of the galaxy who defend the planets and bring order to space. Captain Quark, the most famous of them, appears on TV making a big announcement about how the galaxy needs new heroes, and that he would be going to Veldin to make a selection. Excited about the news, Ratchet celebrates euphorically and ends up getting trapped in his own closet. Sometime later, an old man arrives at the workshop looking for his ejector seat that he asked to have repaired, but Ratchet shows up and offers the old man a ship full of gadgets with strange names, like the Mega Booster, a powerful magnet capable of attracting metals from far away. The young mechanic puts the old man in the seat of the ship against his will and tells him to turn on the Mega Booster. This causes all the metals in the workshop to be attracted to the small ship. When they try to turn off the magnet, the button doesn't work and ends up triggering the accelerator. The vehicle smashes through the workshop door and speeds off across the desert while a shower of metal follows behind it. The two of them scream in despair as they pass quickly between hills and rocks. After almost falling out of the ship, Ratchet manages to access the panel under the seat, deactivate the booster and pull the brake. The metal passes over them and they all hit a piece of rock in front of them. Suddenly the old man's seat is triggered. As he ejects into the sky, he shouts to Ratchet that he wants his money back. At Drek Industries, the villain tells Victor about the next planet to be destroyed and reveals an evil plan to wipe out the Galactic Rangers. Upon hearing this, Victor worries because he knows they don't have an army to fight the heroes, but Drek reassures him that everything is under control. Back on the planet Veldin, Grim, the owner of the workshop where Ratchet works, complains about how the alien only knows how to get into trouble and be careless. The young man says that he has always wanted to be more than a mechanic, that he dreams of becoming a Galactic Ranger. He asks Grim to let him go to the selection, and promises that he will help in the maintenance of the ships later. So the old man gives in and lets him go. Arriving at the selection, Ratchet sees a crowd of people in front of a gigantic illuminated stage, as if a concert was going to take place there. There, each of the Rangers is introduced. The first is Cora, who demonstrates her pistol skills by making fireworks. Then Brax appears and flies over the crowd. Finally Captain Quark appears and gives a great speech, highlighting the great achievements of the Rangers, such as arresting the villain Dr. Nefarious. Then, Ratchet hopes to be the chosen one, but ends up having his dreams shattered when Quark himself tells him he's not ready, because dangerous and uncontrollable. The heroes check Ratchet's background and see that he has nothing but trouble on his record. At Drek Industries, Dr. Nefarious shows Drek and Victor his new creation, a complete troop of robots prepared and equipped to destroy the Galactic Rangers. The factory has a full production line with hundreds of robots being assembled every minute. When the lightning strikes the factory, the machine responsible for creating the robots develops a bug and ends up creating a small metal being, which, unlike the others, has green eyes instead of red. It's discovered as a glitch, and Victor runs after the little robot, who ends up escaping through the trash can. When he finds a ship, the creature manages to escape the planet, but not before a missile hits the side of the vehicle. Disappointed with the result of the selection, Ratchet returns to the workshop and lies down outside looking at the stars. Suddenly, a great blazing brightness startles him, looking like a meteor. He rides his motorcycle towards the crash site and finds a ship on fire. With speed, the alien opens the vehicle's lid and pulls out the robot before it explodes. Next, Ratchet examines the damage to the little robot, who wakes up in a panic, insisting that he needs to warn the Rangers about the imminent attack by Nefarious and Drek's army. The hairy mechanic offers to fix up the new companion in his workshop, naming him Clank and sealing the deal with a rather awkward handshake. In the workshop, Clank, now repaired, thanks his new friend and says he must continue his mission. Immediately, Ratchet offers to take him and lies about being friends with the Galactic Rangers, but Clank ends up accepting and taking him at his word. In Aliro, headquarters of the Galactic Rangers, a large ship appears in the sky with hundreds of robots that begin to attack the city. On their way there, Ratchet and Clank are in the mechanic's old ship and the robot says he can't identify which species the alien belongs. He then reveals that he is the last specimen of the Lombax, and tells that he was left on the planet Veldin as a baby, with no name or origin. When they arrive in the city, the two friends see the destruction and chaos caused by the robot army. With dual pistols, Quark attacks his enemies and shows off for the warriors, while Brax grabs one of the robots by the legs and throws it into a crowd of opponents. Finally, Cora finishes the combo by sticking 2 grenades on them, ending with a huge explosion. As the fight continues, Victor is on the front line, speeding through the Rangers' defenses. Ratchet tries to fire a missile at the enemy mothership, but the projectile ends up going in the opposite direction and hits a statue of Quark. Right now, Clank says that they are not prepared for this fight, but Lombax says that that doesn't matter, since no one knows who they are. This statement ends up giving away his lie and Clank realizes that his partner is no friend of the Rangers. While they're arguing, his ship crashes into a billboard and starts flying wildly around the city. However, Ratchet takes control of the ship before a fatal crash and returns to the battle, which is not at all favorable for them. Faced with this situation, Clank comes up with a plan to settle the fight once and for all and save the Rangers and the city of Aliro. With the ship's mega booster, the duo attracts all the robots surrounding the Rangers and takes them straight to the mothership, defeating the entire army in one fell swoop. At the end of the battle, Victor is the only survivor and flees in anger at the complete defeat of his fellow robots. When they land, the duo is greeted by a large appreciative crowd. At this point, Quark tries to steal the limelight and ends up being interviewed by journalists, who ask about the saviors Ratchet and Clank. Under pressure from the media and the people, Quark accepts the two as new Galactic Rangers. By following the whole story on TV, Drek gets angry about the defeat and takes out all his frustration on Victor and Nefarious. The mad scientist uses his manipulation skills and suggests that Drek try to corrupt Captain Quark, claiming that he is the best candidate because he is simple-minded and corruptible. At the Rangers HQ, the two new heroes meet the fourth and final missing member, Ellis, who is responsible for the intelligence part of the place. Clank stays with her for training, and Ratchet joins Quark to improve his skills. Now properly dressed, the alien tests various weapons in the training room, such as the Combustor, the Alpha Disruptor, and the Negotiator. In all the tests, Ratchet proved to be extremely unprepared, barely knowing how to use his weapons, and even throws a grenade at himself. With Ellis, Clank discovers that Dr. Nefarious once worked in the Rangers' intelligence sector. Using computer analysis, they discover that all the destroyed planets have a piece missing. The analysis is disrupted when Ratchet and Quark fly across the room with jetpacks. Even though Ellis warns them about the findings, the duo fly through the ceiling chasing sausage noodles and ignore her. Sometime later, Ratchet and Clank go for a walk and see several billboards with the Lombax's face on them. The robot warns his friend about the dangers of fame, but is interrupted by a crowd of fans asking for autographs. One more time, Quark shows up to try the spotlight, but ends up ignored. In the planning room, Quark shows a series of children's drawings with a completely useless plan of how they will attack Drek Industries. Despite protests from Clank and Ellis, the other Rangers vote in favor of the captain's idea. On board the hero's ship under Drek Industries, Clank is placed like a backpack on Ratchet's back. Just then, Quark appears and tries to humiliate the little robot, calling him extra baggage. With everything ready, all the Rangers, except Ellis, jump into the mission. Within the industry, Drek was already awaiting the arrival of the superheroes and laughs hysterically when he sees them on his cameras. Forming separate teams, the Rangers infiltrate the fortress and search for Drek, but end up being attacked by a swarm of Zircon robots. Running from enemies, Quark enters Drek's office, who uses Victor to threaten the captain and make him an offer he can't refuse. He appeals to the Ranger's ego and says he'll get Ratchet out of the way and give him all the limelight, assisting him with his private team of PR professionals. In the end, he finally gets what he wants and makes Quark sign a contract. After escaping from the Zircons, Ratchet, Clank and Cora find Dr. Nefarious' laboratory and discover the nature of the villain's plan. It seems that Drek is stealing a piece of every planet in order to build the perfect world. As Drek has already gotten what he wants, he flees the planet and leaves behind his assistant, a little robot in a suit called Zed who is captured by Ratchet and his gang. Cora holds the robot by the foot and threatens to throw it off the platform if he doesn't tell her everything he knows. So the little one ends up giving in and tells her that the next target is the planet Nivalis. Different from the other targets so far, this planet is completely inhabited by millions of people. Back on the Ranger's mothership, Zed is trapped when he sees Quark walking through the corridors. He recognizes him, but the green hero tells the robot to keep quiet. On the deplanetizer's ship, Dr. Nefarious tells his diary that his plan is going according to plan, because soon he will be gone and the entire solar system will be destroyed. His megalomaniacal thoughts are interrupted when a henchman tells him that Drek wants to see him. Meanwhile, Quark hacks into the systems of the Ranger's mothership and sabotages the weapons systems of all the other ships, which will soon set off to attack the deplanetizer. During the attack, when asked about the plan, the captain says that he's going in alone to talk to Drek, which is received strangely by the other Rangers. Ellis tries to come up with a clever plan, but Quark puts her on silent mode and sets off alone into the deplanetizer. On board the great world-destroying weapon, Drek greets the traitor and asks if he has actually deactivated the Ranger's weapons. He confirms this and asks Drek not to hurt his friends. However, the villain tricks Quark, ignores his request and sends his henchmen to attack the Rangers. The heroes even try to fight back, but none of their weapons fire, forcing them to retreat while a crowd of enemies hunt them down. In the deplanetizer, Victor manages to scan the Ranger's mothership and discovers that Clank, the defective robot that escaped from him, is on board. The man then orders his henchmen to teleport him near the ship. Ratchet is disgusted by the situation, imagining that Quark is alone on the ship fighting the villains, and decides to stop running and go straight to the deplanetizer. Even with Ellis and Clank warning him of the danger, he faces the lasers of the ship's defenses, saying that great heroes do great things. Before his ship explodes, the brave Lombax ejects his seat and flies straight into the deplanetizer. On the Ranger's mothership, Clank goes to investigate a suspicious noise and discovers that Victor has broken in. He hides and watches the menacing red robot looking for him. Ellis tries to stop him but ends up being thrown into a water pipe, which knocks Victor back. Just then, Clank realizes that his enemy is afraid of water for some reason, but ends up being discovered by him. Before being caught, the defective little robot gets hold of a weapon that creates storms and launches the device at his opponent, who is completely rusted by the rain. Observing the whole scene, Zed asks to join the Rangers. After infiltrating the deplanetizer, Ratchet ends up being discovered by Drek, who imprisons him in an energy sphere. While being transported by the ship, the alien hears the story of the villain, who reveals that he is using pieces of other planets to rebuild his home planet. As he passes through a corridor, Ratchet sees Quark leading a life of luxury, receiving a massage, and realizes that he has been betrayed by the greatest hero in the galaxy. At this point, Drek has Ratchet thrown into a ship so that he can see the destruction of Nivalis. The weapon is activated and the destructive ray once again blows an entire world to pieces. Powerless, the Rangers watch the destruction with sadness. Even Quark feels guilty. Even though he is now on the side of the villains, however, his sadness is interrupted when he realizes for the first time that Dr. Nefarious is working with Drek. Afterwards, thousands of small drones take one of the remaining pieces of Nivalis and teleport it to some unknown location. Meanwhile, the villains watch the scene with great pride. Defeated, Ratchet returns to his planet Veldin, feeling guilty about the failed mission. In the newspaper he sees that the civilians were evacuated before the explosion, leaving no casualties, but the media wonders if the trust they placed in Ratchet was in vain. Grimm tries to warn the Ranger that his suit is beeping with messages from his companions. He tries to cheer Ratchet up by telling him a story about when the Lombax was a child. The alien feels disappointed that he hasn't done great things, but Grimm rebuts him, saying that the real hero doesn't always do great things, but the right things. In the deplanetizer, Drek holds a symbolic funeral for Victor, and throws his portrait with all the henchmen who were messing with his cell phone violently into space. In a quick change of mood, Drek orders the ship's henchmen to bring new Quartu, his planet rebuilt with the pieces of the destroyed worlds. The villain is thrilled to see his plan complete. Clank shows up at the workshop and tries to convince Ratchet to rejoin the team, saying that Drek has another target and they need his help. The Ranger's big ship appears in the sky and they team up to convince the Lombax to come back. After showing shameful photos of when they were young, the heroes manage to get into the mind of Ratchet, who decides to help them. Ellis and Clank are finally heard and tell their plan to get the deplanetizer out of the place in order to prevent the beam from hitting its target. After thinking about it, Ratchet says he might know a way to do it. Outraged that Drek is trying to eliminate the Rangers, Quark accuses him of working with Dr. Nefarious, warning him how dangerous the scientist is. The tie-wearing villain ignores the warning and mocks Nefarious' criminal record, who emerges from the portal right behind Quark. The former Ranger is incredulous and asks how the villain is alive, since he was presumed perished. Nefarious says that everyone has a price and asks what Quark's price was for selling out his friends. At this point, the villains tell him to leave and stop disrupting business. While Drek is celebrating, Dr. Nefarious shoots a laser at him, which turns him into a sheep, and says it's time to change the direction of the plans. In Grimm's workshop, Zed helps with the organization while the heroes prepare the ships for a counterattack. Ellis and Clank share their worrying discoveries. Drek's next target is Umbris, a planet that could cause a chain reaction and destroy the entire system. Zed then tells him that this target is not actually Drek's plan, but Nefarious. In Deplanetizer, Nefarious puts Drek in the shape of a sheep on a ship and sends him to New Quartu, the planet he created. He then activates the timer, which shows 15 minutes until the lightning strikes Umbris and destroys the entire system. The Galactic Rangers arrive in Umbris and put their plan into action. With the Holosphere technology, Ratchet disguises himself as Quark and joins Clank in the Deplanetizer. They advance to the core of the ship, disconnect the destabilizer and deactivate all the main weapons. The ship goes into complete chaos, and when Nefarious is ready to flee, one of his henchmen warns him that they have been sabotaged. Angry, he decides to take matters into his own hands. In the core room, Ratchet is confronted by Quark, who vents and says he feels stabbed by the Lombax for stealing his fame. The alien says that his former captain must pay for his actions, and the fight begins. Ratchet pulls out a small pistol that fires a shot in the shape of a punch and hits Quark square in the face. He strikes back with an ice gun, and the Lombax has to run to dodge the projectiles. When he gets a break, the hero knocks down Quark with the same ice gun, but he flies back with his jetpack. After exchanging fire from a variety of weapons, Quark uses the tornado launcher to finish off Ratchet and Clank. About to be defeated, the furry alien begs the captain to come to his senses and realize that he's not a real villain. The Quark figurine that Ratchet had with him falls on the Ranger's face, who realizes what a crazy thing he's doing and gives up the fight. Just when everything seems to have settled down, Dr. Nefarious appears and unleashes his hatred on Quark, accusing him of mocking him when he worked for the Galactic Rangers. After the pointless discussion, Ratchet and Quark exchange fire with Nefarious while Cora and Brax put the plan into action outside the Deplanetizer. They use the Mega Booster to attract the whole ship and take their sights off the planet. As the ship spins because of the magnet, the heroes and the villain hang on to avoid falling, but Nefarious manages to activate the ray. Luckily, the team had moved the Deplanetizer enough for the shot not to hit Umbris, but it ended up hitting New Quartu, right on top of Drek, who was on the planet. Even though the plan worked, Ratchet, Clank and Quark are still trapped in the Deplanetizer, which is now being pulled into Umbris orbit and will be destroyed at any moment. Just then, Nefarious manages to get to his feet and threatens to shoot Quark with his new weapon, but Ratchet uses his electromagnetic boots to run up to the villain and hit him with his Omni Key. Next, Nefarious falls into the core of the Deplanetizer, completely defeated. Racing against time, the heroes manage to reach the control room, but a mistake by Quark throws him into the glass of the ship, which is about to shatter. Quickly, Ratchet and Clank use the teleportation platform to save the hero and manage to back safely back to the Ranger's ship. After finishing the mission, Ratchet says goodbye to Clank and returns to fulfill his agreement to help Grimm in the workshop. On TV, it is shown that Quark is on an apology tour of the galaxy. The media also wonder where the famous Lombax who saved the galaxy is. A few days later, Clank shows up at the workshop and offers to help with the ships. During a brief conversation, Ratchet says that he hasn't retired from the Galactic Rangers, so if a new threat arises, he will be there to help. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.